A while ago, I needed to make a second Arknights account because I wanted to record the very opening story cutscene for the game, which isn't archived. And being a Story Clips channel, I thought it would be a good idea to post videos for that opening cutscene so that it would be more visible. And so this second account, I wasn't planning on doing really anything with it, just basically throwing it away after I recorded that story content. But after watching plenty of Danbo's E0 clears, and to some extent Iron Cobra, who is a content creator who collaborates with him quite a bit, I decided to keep the account and see how far I could get with even more restrictions. So I decided to have this account be E0 Level 1, Skill Level 1, and no potentials, to just see what is the limit that I could get through with those restrictions without leveling up any operators with my 2 years of Arknights experience. Which then leads us to today. So nearly a month later, I am level 42, and going into the operators, as you can see here, they are all the same level, and going into the skills, skill level 1, and then no potentials, like I said before. So getting into the deal with today, I had posted on my community page that I cleared IC-5 on this account. And understandably, there were a lot of questions on how I did it. And let's just say the carts do a lot of the work. But that doesn't mean these stages are easy, necessarily. So I went all the way to IC-8, and I wanted to make this video as an analysis of how I did each stage going from IC-1 all the way to IC-8. So in the description I will put timestamps for each stage if you want to skip ahead to any of those that sound more interesting to you. So I'm going to do auto-deploy, just so that I can focus on commentating what is going on. And so let's get started. And so since IC-1 is only level 20 recommended, it is a pretty easy stage. So opening, what I want to also talk about for E0 one important thing is that with level 1 skills, most of the vanguards that have DP gain after a certain amount of time, like the pioneers and the standard bearers, they are not necessarily that usable with level 1 skills because of how long it takes for their skills to become active, and since their stats are so low, they are often taken out by any difficult, semi-difficult enemy. So as you can see here, Leonhardt only has 400 attack, Quora has over 300, and so like I said, this stage being a beginning stage, there really isn't much to talk about. So for E0 level 1 in general, besides the vanguards with the lower stats of everybody, like the defenders feel like they're made out of tissue paper, and then all of your range units have terrible amounts of max HP, like Pudding here doesn't even have 600. So ranged enemies are extremely dangerous, and to keep that in mind. So for the DP, Cantonable is pretty much like the best vanguard for E0 level 1 because her skill is immediately active. So just finishing up here, just able to put Quora down there and then have enough arts damage to take those guys out. So easy enough. IC-2, however, is ironically one of the hardest stages out of all of these. I'm not even joking. This stage was incredibly difficult because of the Lakeside Volunteers. These guys, there are so many of them in the bottom lane that it is an absolute pain to deal with. And when I first did this, I only had enough trust on my defenders to have around 270 or 280 defense, and those volunteers have 320 attack. And because of that, I had to deal with HP, healing of the defenders, as well as taking them out fast enough so that they don't leak. So starting here, they do give enough time that if I did want to put Myrtle down, I could have, but I went with Cantabile and then Cora right there, right from the start on the top lane, and that was able to take out the initial rush there. And because her DP depends on getting hits, getting the DP off of the 100% dodge duration is very important. So here's our first Lakeside Volunteer. So he's pretty easy since he's by himself, but as we can see here, there are more coming already. And then also taking advantage of the dodge right there to get more DP. So as you can see here, I have 2 splash casters as well as Hibiscus Altar to deal arts damage here. And I don't really need to... I did activate Hibiscus skill, but I was able to take those guys out without too many issues. And then Breeze is the main healer here. And then the top lane, I have Ayosta, because the drunk alcoholics, as soon as their dodge runs out, he can pretty much take them out in 1 or 2 hits. Well, not 2 hits, but pretty fast is what I was getting at. So since I had enough DP, I also put down Mouse. So you can see just how much arts damage I needed to have in order to take out these Lakeside Volunteers fast enough. So because the top lane has slugs, that wasn't really too big of an issue. And then as soon as the dodge ends, they get taken out. But just look at these volunteers, like how fast they build up here. And even though that these operators have quite a bit more attack and everything because of the trust, they're still almost had a rough time here. And because my Quora actually had really low trust at the time, I needed to swap her out for Beagle at the time to take out that last guy, because she was taken out because the defense was too low. So this one, IC-2, is probably either the second or third hardest stage out of all these, because once we get to IC-3, we get to deal with the self-driving carts. And this one I grinded out quite a bit because this is how I got the cart parts, is by grinding the ore rocks. So this one actually has the upgraded carts. On here, so there was enough time to start out with Myrtle here. And then Cantabile getting some DP right there. And then as soon as her passive is done, I usually just retreat her. So just use the carts to do a loop to get rid of the sandcastle builders, or sandcasters, however you want to call them. So because I have the upgraded carts, I pretty much just need to spam them, and then this stage is pretty easy as long as I have enough DP to do that. When I didn't have the high-speed drill to deal the huge amounts of damage, I had to use my fast redeploys. So I had Gravel and Project Red, and I would continuously swap between those so that they wouldn't target Quora or Hibiscus Altar I had right here at the time. So definitely a lot easier with the upgraded carts. And I also have the 6 SP per run here to allow Myrtle to charge her skill way faster. So just the last few guys. Last few, just the caster and the 2 drunk Durans. So really easy. Even without the upgraded cart parts, this one was not very difficult. IC-4 is kind of the same case where you can heavily rely on the carts once again. So I put Myrtle here just for continuous DP generation for the carts. And then Cantabile to do that, get that extra DP right from the start, and then just do a loop like that, and then just pretty much spam the carts. So on this bottom lane we have the first volleyball thrower cart thing. So what I needed to do was use fast redeploys to tank the hits from that, so that it wouldn't hit Quora, and then the stunning would reset its attack hopefully. But I did need to use Mastema because on here I didn't have the upgraded cart parts, so I needed that AoE arts damage to take these guys out so that they don't leak. But as you can see here, just swapping between the fast redeploys. And I even decided to put Quora down there just to tank a bit more. So my squad pretty much gets taken out by all of the volleyball carts until near the end there. And then once Hibiscus Altar gets in range to target these guys, it isn't so bad. They're able to take them out because they are very weak to arts damage. So just 3 volleyball carts. Put Gaviel down. And then even Mastema got her redeployment time. And there we go. So not too bad. Especially with the upgraded cart parts, this one is definitely way easier. Doing so much more damage to the carts. But those carts are, the serving carts, are probably one of the most dangerous enemies in here. So IC-5, what we need for Minimalist, was definitely one of the harder stages. So going into it, for the carts themselves, have the SP recovery one so that Myrtle can get DP. And then I even go with 3 Vanguards here. One of the few times where these guys have enough time to get DP back. And then once they start getting blocked, make the carts go, and then also have the HP recovery. One helps a lot because then you don't have to rely as much on a healer. And then also getting that. Okay, I guess I went full healing on this one. I didn't go with the SP recovery. My bad on that. I do remember there was a time where I did, so... So going with ×1, as you can see here, they do pile up, and I did need to block one Durin because he almost gets through there. And that's kind of the thing with Elite 0 Level 1, is that even though that, yeah, the carts do most of the work, a lot of times the enemies pile up so quickly that it is very difficult to make it so that they don't leak. So we're just relying on the carts to deal the damage, but here's an important step, is that we put Indigo here, and also Hibiscus Altar goes up here, and that's because as soon as this cart gets destroyed, we need to kill the volleyball serving carts right here and right here. So Indigo, because she's a Mystic caster, she actually has the range to hit here, and the core casters only have the 3x3 here for range. So because Indigo has this extra tile, we need to use her for this. And also Hibiscus Altar also has that extra range. So we need to try to take out these two carts right here so that they don't deal a ton of damage to the defenders and pile up. So Indigo here is able to take that one out pretty easily. But unfortunately, Hibiscus doesn't quite manage to take that one out, so I decided to put Gummy down to try to stall him a little bit, which kind of works. And then I put Ethan down to try to deal some extra damage, and tank a little bit. Try to rely on that 50% dodge. So definitely, just to stop them from piling up, I decided to try to block this cart here, because I thought that that he would either leak or deal too much damage to the defenders. So now it's just the last one, so not too terribly bad. When I first tried doing this without the drill to do the extra damage, I had to I had to stall like 2 or 3 different Durins, drunk Durins, because since the cart wasn't really dealing damage, I had to I had to do that, and I couldn't quite really make it work. I did get a 2-star clear on that before I got the cart parts, so I was able to get Minimalist, but then I went back later to get the 3-star with that clear, as you saw. So with IC-6, this one, what is important about this one is that with the cart, use the explosion one. This one, the deal 600% to all nearby enemies when it explodes. That will make the stage a lot easier than the way that I did it. So I don't think I had that upgrade, and also I wasn't entirely sure how it worked. I didn't know that it exploded when you knock into the surfer instructors, because these guys block the carts. If you have the explosion mod on, it actually explodes on them and deals AoE damage, so that's very important. So do use that mod if you're struggling with this one. So I took notes from Shoyu's video on this one. So I take the +4 directional pads, and I also take the SP recovery one on the cart. So I put a Vanguard here, and I think I put a second Vanguard here, right here, Scavenger, if I'm not mistaken, once I get more DP. Yeah. So because we're spamming the carts, we're going to need a continuous improvement on that. And so I put the directional pads in this pattern from Shoyu's video. And this is actually better than using the flag bearers, I think, because the flag bearers have that 8-second duration, and so that blocks the like you have to wait for the SP. So for the first metal and surfer instructor, what I had to do is that I took basically all the sources of arts damage that I pretty much could get, while also having healers and defenders. So again, if you have the explosion mod on the cart, it'll explode on the surfer instructor, so he's not a big deal anymore. So because he moves forward, it's pretty easy to take out this first one. But I do need to use a defender as soon as Mouse is done, because as you can see here, they really rip apart the Mouse there, because she has that low defense. So I use all of these casters to take care of this surfer instructor as fast as possible on the bottom. So using Indigo and Minimalist here, as well as Hibiscus was in range there. So, and I actually leaked because of the auto deploy, but the gist of it is getting rid of those surfer instructors as fast as possible, and then just spamming the carts again. But if you have the explosion mod on there, then the carts will explode on the surfer instructor, and that can take out some of the Durans while you focus on not leaking anything. So I'm not planning on redoing it, because that's basically the gist of it. So while I didn't actually technically clear it for this video, that is the gist of what I did, and obviously auto deploy can be finicky at times. So IC-7, I took notes from Dr. Silvergun's video on this stage for the placement of the directional pads, as you'll see. And I plan on putting like a picture of the video that I'm talking about and stuff. So IC-7 is quite frankly the hardest stage that I've done, actually completed so far, and that's because of these buggies and the volleyball serving carts. If you let a single volleyball serving cart or a buggy through, it is an instant failure. Just start over with this low level of operators. So let's get into it and see if the auto deploy will actually work. So for this one, I also took the SP 1, I do believe. So starting off quickly, the cart timing is actually very tight on defeating the Durans, but in this opening here, I wasn't as precise. So then I let this guy through, and then I use the second Duran for the DP. So yeah, as you can see here, I have the 6 SP here. So what is really important is that for these lifeguards, you need to take at least one of them out. And then also I just barely remembered Quora. So you basically need to take out these guys or make them like a one-hit kill. Otherwise, all 3 of these guys will come in at once, and then you'll have 1 or 2 Durans here, and then it'll leak one. And then we're able to take out these 3 pretty easily. So what I needed to do was stall this guy right here so that there wasn't 3 lifeguards there. So, and then Cantabile getting a few extra DP and dealing some extra damage to these guys. So then I use Breeze for the AoE healing here. And then Gaviel for the focused healing. So what is really important is that the timing on the second half here. So the timing on spawning the cart is that as soon as enemies spawn here, that is when you spawn the cart. So when you get the Durans and these guys, that is when you spawn the cart, so it can hit one and hopefully kill the one that's right here. But these lifeguards move, I think, a little bit faster than the drunk Durans. So what you try to do is that you try to freeze the lifeguards. They're usually more problematic. And then try to take out these casters here. So, like I said before, these volleyball carts, if you let a single one through this line for the carts, it is an instant fail. And I'm not joking. So for this, I use my fast redeploys to try to make it so that the carts attack them, and so that they are stalled, and so that they get frozen by the cart. So for this stage especially, you need the freezing 5-second freezing module on here in order to do this. Although I'm using Elite 0 level 1 operators, so obviously if you have higher level operators, this isn't going to be as you don't need to be as precise. So for this, I needed to freeze the buggy, and so the cart timing is pretty tight on this as well. You do have a chance to freeze the buggy. He goes around, so if you freeze him on the second time through, that is fine. But you have to permafreeze these guys before they start heading towards the blue box here. So this is very, very sketchy right here. And he'll probably go through because it's depending on the auto deploy. And this cart right here, if he doesn't die from Ethan, he will easily kill one of either of the defenders, and then you're screwed. Because if I put down Mastima to do that AoE damage, because most of these guys are focusing on the Durans here, which have the dodge. So if I put Mastima down to do the AoE damage, the cart will target Mastima and knock her out in 1 or 2 hits. So that is very important. So as we can see here, that this buggy went through, so this one's going to be a failure. But I did put Mastima down after this to just have that extra damage, so I could focus on spawning the carts here. So unfortunately, the buggy right here is going to get through, and this is a failure because of the auto deploy. But that is the gist of it. I am not going to do IC-7 again because the timing you need for spawning the carts is that precise. Like, you can't just spam the carts. Like to some extent you do, but I mean you have to time when you start spawning the carts in order to permafreeze the buggies, especially. Because, like I said, if one of them gets through, you are done. Same thing with the volleyball carts. I was really lucky on the auto deploy that Ethan took care of the one that was here with his arts damage S1. But in general, if even just one of those get through, it is usually an instant failure. If a buggy gets through, instant failure. Because if I try to use a defender against them, not only are my medics here, but also the buggies deal so much damage they're going to wipe out the defender in 1 or 2 hits. So that is IC-7. Definitely the hardest stage out of all of these. Like when it says Elite 1 level 70, honestly, this is what IC-8 should have been, was this stage. So going into actually IC-8, it says Elite 2 level 10, but honestly, this was one of the easiest ones. Well, maybe not the easiest, but definitely one of the easier ones, and you need the explosion module on the cart. So going into IC-8 with the 2 surfers, it is easy to just put Cantabile down and then just get full DP because she doesn't have the attack to actually damage the surfers. But as you can see here with the explosion module, it does like 1,000 damage to this guy right here. And so for the bottom lane, for the water trucks, I don't remember the name of these, having a Mystic Caster is really good down here. And also I put Mouse right here so that I have enough arts damage to deal with this guy. But he does stay here for a while, the very first one, so I'm not too worried about him. Just let Indigo take him out. And so once the volleyball carts start spawning, as you saw there, Gravel goes up here to tank both the hits, as well as let the carts deal damage to him. And I put Hibiscus here as well, so that she can target this guy and get constant healing, as well as slowly taking him out. So, pretty easy in that regard. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention earlier that is super important is that for your defender that you put here, face them towards the left to make the cart explode on this wall, this elevated tile here. Otherwise the cart won't explode and you won't get that AoE damage. So definitely we're just relying on that to do that extra damage, and it's pretty easy to take them out. See, like they do 3/4 of the health of these guys and then take out the volleyball carts. So I decided to put Midnight down here just in case for the last one if I don't get enough time. But yeah, the explosion module pretty much makes this incredibly easy to do. And then I use Indigo skill to charge her, to give her enough charges. And so the exploding cart actually takes care of the last bit of HP on the bottom guy. So, pretty easy. I mean, considering that this is IC-8, right before the boss stage, and it's an Elite 2 level 10 stage, this right here, if considering how easy the carts make this stage, that's kind of a joke. This one, easily IC-7, easily hardest stage. Besides that, IC-6 was kind of hard because of taking out the surfers fast enough. But again, if you use the explosion module, you can take them out just by purely spamming the carts. And you might be able to get away with that without too many operators. So, in terms of difficulty, IC-2 was definitely one of the hardest ones, and then IC-7 was easily the hardest. I have not completed IC-9. There's some stuff I still need to do more trial and error for IC-9, so I don't know if I'll manage to do it. It is the max HP of the casters that I have at Elite 0 level 1 is so low that basically if they take 2 hits from the AoE from the drone, as well as like any damage from anything else, they just die. So it's a hard stage. Definitely probably the hardest one, if I can even manage it. So that was how I beat all the way to IC-8 with Elite 0 level 1 operators. Overall, I think this just goes to show how overpowered the self-driving cart is, frankly. And I do really like that even though that the cart is so overpowered, even though that I had Elite 0 Level 1 operators, for some of these stages, it wasn't as simple as just spam the carts. I mean, for some of them it was, but like for IC-5, IC-6, IC-7, and a little bit on IC-8, I guess, there's still definitely thinking involved, strategy involved for these, so definitely I really enjoyed going through these stages, and just the fact that I beat a stage with Elite 2 level 10 with Elite 0 operators is pretty hilarious to me. So if you thought that this was either helpful or interesting to you, thanks for watching. And I'm not planning on doing too much Elite 0 level 1 content. I am still going to be focusing on the story clip content, but since many people asked me how I managed to do IC-8 or up to IC-5 through up to IC-8, this is how I did it. So I mean, again, on this stage and IC-7, even though that, yeah, I didn't clear it with the auto deploy, hopefully that gives enough of a gist to get an understanding of what I did on the actual clear, because I don't really want to clear IC-7 again manually. So yeah. And as always, stay sane, doctors.